Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm from the University of Aberdeen and I'm in 4th year.
Hi, my name's Robin. I'm also from the University of Aberdeen and I'm also in 4th year.
Hi, my name's Claire and the same as these two, I'm an ME education student from the University of Aberdeen in 4th year.
And I'm Michaela and I'm in the same class as these guys in 4th year for MA education at the University of Aberdeen.
So we were doing a presentation on what dyslexia is. So our whole aim of the presentation was, as educators, to put ourselves in the shoes of what it feels like to be dyslexic and to be aware of the signs later on in a child's education. So not to focus within the early years, but to focus on how to pick up other things more than phonological awareness and numeracy, the signs of quietness, the signs of timing, the signs of a lack in basic motor skills. So that was our main aims for our presentation.
The whole aim of giving the presentation in the first place was to create a collaborative sort of student learning experience that's meant to contribute towards our professional development as we go into our first year teaching after the summer.
When you are able to share something, you have to process it properly. So you have to actually think, no, where was the benefit in that? How did that change me? How did that affect me? And then you can give that advice to others rather than just living through the experience. You're actually learning from it.
Also during this we were able to find resources that would help support our presentation. It was quite nice being able to lead the tutorial in our own kind of way and see how other people interpret what the information they were saying was.
Also just breaks it up as well, because even we all had different areas to focus on within our groups, so it means that then rather than being kind of overloaded with covering every section, we were able to see actually what other people could bring to it as well.
Well, it definitely extended the discussion with aspects that we hadn't even looked into or we just hadn't thought about in the more ways than what they'd brought back to us.
I guess when you're preparing something on a very specific topic, you become quite engrossed with what you're teaching and you become really focused on just that. So it's nice when somebody maybe brings in a question, you're like, oh, I didn't actually even look into that aspect of it. So maybe they asked us questions and we didn't know the answer to it, but it's a question that we can maybe go look into, or a question that they themselves can then think, oh, I'm going to take that on.
Scenarios as well. It means that then you're able to see, oh, actually, this is how we thought we'd deal with it, but how would they deal with that scenario? Because maybe they've been exposed to other resources or different policies, even in different councils too. So
and it just emphasises when you hear different scenarios, when you hear different experiences, every single school, every single child is so different. Learning about autism today, learning about dyslexia today, there's no one way to do it, and it's almost as if every year you'd have to rearrange and change and restructure your whole idea of a classroom while trying to just take things that you've learned and benefited from. And I think that's the scariest, but also the most important thing that we've learned through the 4 years is what we learned in first year does not mean that we can take that into a classroom in our last placement. That is just for maybe another time, and just to keep that to use.
I just feel working in different groups and being able to present ideas in such a way without there having to be a teacher or tutor led way, we can use our initiative and just sort of get on with the job and be able to share our ideas and our learning.
It's exciting to be able to it's exciting to be able to go into this next year knowing that I could message any single person and they would have something they could tell me, or they could have a lesson plan to use for an age group, but at the same time I could take my own twist on it, and you don't necessarily have someone watching over you all the time. So this is our actual year to experiment and to see what works, and then we can even come back and be like, that idea you told me that doesn't work for me, or that idea you told me, thank goodness you told me that, because that's what's got me through this first month or first 2 months. So just breaking it down really.
think it also helps you be a bit more reflective of your own practice, because you realise, as we were saying earlier, like what you have like missed, or maybe something that you haven't think, oh, they could go down this area, because you've been focused on like this section. So it does make you reflect on actually what you have chosen to look at.